So no props necessarily needed today. I've got a blanket because we are going to come into crocodile pose, and I quite like a bit of padding under my elbows. So I'll just show you in case it's not a position you're familiar with. So we lie on our front, but our forearms are stacked. So the fingertips coming to the elbows, they're stacked. And this enables our chest, our upper chest, to be raised. So fingertips to elbows, forearms stacked, and then the forehead comes to rest on the arms. So you'll notice there's a lift in the upper chest. I quite like to have my kind of wrist bone in the centre of my head, sort of, I guess, where we would call the third eye, so just in the centre between the eyebrows. That's very personal to me. It may feel a bit too strong. So you may want to find a more padded part of the arm to rest the forehead down. So the main thing here is that the neck is in line with the spine. And as always, if this doesn't feel right for you, you can roll over onto your back and come into the semi-supine position. So sort of standing feet, knees bent. Feet are hip distance or a bit wider apart, feet are relaxed. And just taking a moment to allow the body to settle into this position, just to get familiar with it. It's not a shape we often would make or come into. Makrasana, crocodile. Encouraging the shoulders to soften away from the ears. And breathing in and out through the nose if that's possible today. And crocodile encourages us to take a diaphragmatic breath, so otherwise known as belly breathing, breathing into the belly. And you'll immediately notice the belly's restricted as we're lying on our front, but the diaphragm's still encouraged to move. So that's the muscle just under the rib cage that supports our breathing. You may even have a felt sense of that muscle moving downwards as you inhale and the lungs expand. And upwards as you exhale and the lungs empty of air and breath. Beginning to notice how the rib cage expands and has the space to expand in this shape. And noticing any movement, particularly in the back of the body, the lower back. So as you inhale, the rising of the rib cage in the back of the body may feel prominent or obvious. But perhaps you also feel some movement in the lower back. Is there the possibility of deepening the breath, lengthening the breath? Maybe you begin to notice as the breath expands the rib cage and other areas of your body, a sense of stretching, almost massaging the outer layers, muscles, ligaments, tendons, but also our internal organs. So as we breathe in and out in this shape, we're slowly beginning to massage and nurture the digestive system, the spleen, the liver, the kidneys, the pancreas, adrenal glands. As the muscle of the diaphragm moves up and down as we breathe in and out, it's massaging all the internal organs, including the heart, and acting as a pump. So it acts as a pump to help the lymphatic system. Pumping lymph fluid around the body, which supports our immune system. So our belly breathing, whether we're sitting, lying on our back, or in Makrasana crocodile, diaphragmatic breathing, nurturing so much more than just the respiratory system, just the breath. And taking 3 more breaths here in this shape. And we're going to stay on our front so we can warm up our lower legs, our calf muscles and our feet. So you're welcome to keep the head in this position if it feels comfortable. Or maybe you part the arms a little, have the hands stacked and rest the head to one side. So just taking a moment to see what feels most comfortable for you. And then we're going to bend at the right knee and lift the right foot and bring some movement to the foot. So maybe that begins with pointing and flexing the foot. And noticing how the movement of the foot as we point and flex it, that travels up the leg. Where does it finish? Where can you feel the movement reaching? So bring your awareness to the connection of our feet, how we walk, how we stand, to the rest of the body. And maybe bringing some circles to the ankles, a few in one direction and a few in the other. And gently spreading the toes and releasing. So trying to create some space in between each toe, ball of the foot. And releasing that. And we're going to start drawing some small circles with the big toe. So the movement's now almost coming into the hip. You may have a sense of the hip socket, the joint moving, rotating. And it can be really small circles, or you can take them a little bit wider or larger if that feels good for your body, and changing direction. And slowly releasing the right leg down. Taking a moment to resettle. If you do have the head turned to one direction, just turning to the other. Bringing balance through the neck, through the cervical spine. And then we'll work through the left leg. So bending at the left knee, raising the left foot. And to begin with, just pointing and flexing the foot. And once again, bringing our awareness to where we feel this movement travelling to. It could be different on this side. One side often feels freer, gentler, softer. And then maybe bringing some movement to the ankle, so some circling movements to the ankle, very small. A few in one direction, and then a few in the other. And then maybe you start to bring some space between the toes, spreading the toes, maybe feeling that sensation across the ball of the foot. Waking up the sole of the foot. And some slightly bigger circles now, drawing with the big toe. So circles led by the big toe, so the movements coming up towards the knee a little, into the hip joint. And changing direction. And releasing the left leg down. Taking a moment to let the hips settle. And we'll take the feet a little bit wider, so we're going to stay in this position for a little bit longer. Knees are a little bit wider, and then we're raising both feet. And the soles of the feet are either coming together, or it might just be the inside, the big toe edge of the foot comes together. So it becomes almost a resting position, not quite. And we're going to bring some circles to the feet here. So as we circle, the feet going in circles, coming back round and meeting in the middle as we began. So if the knees have come a little bit wider, you're going to start to feel this more probably into the hips, into the glutes. You may feel it elsewhere. And the circles can be small, they can be large. Whatever feels possible for your body this morning, and feel supportive as well. So if you go too wide and it feels a little painful or there's strain, just taking it back a notch. And slowly changing direction, so creating circles in the opposite direction. And when you come back to our starting position, feet together, slowly lowering the feet back down, and once again allowing the body to settle for a moment. Very slowly releasing the head from the floor, the hands, and we're going to take our time to push back into extended child's pose. So we've been in that very gentle back bend for a little while. So take your time to ease yourself out of it. Big toes come together, knees wide apart. Always knowing you can have a bit more support under the knees or tucked in behind the knees if you feel you need it. And slowly making your way down. Maybe just to elbows and hands to begin with. Softening the shoulders, allowing the head, the neck to be relaxed. And then very slowly, maybe you start to extend through the hands. As wide as you feel you want to. So the wider the hands, the more space you have for the shoulders. Without going too wide, a sense of space around the neck as well. Head could rest on the floor if you feel you have the flexibility, the mobility there, or on a block. Feels more supportive. And then you're welcome to gently apply some pressure into the pads of the fingers and let go. So it becomes almost like a sort of subtle rocking movement, applying pressure or pushing through the pads of the fingers and letting go, creating just a very subtle change, a little bit of space and length in the back of the body. And slowly bringing the hands back towards center. We'll roll over onto one side. So I'm rolling onto my left, it doesn't matter, we'll do this off both sides. Making sure you have a little bit of support for the head, can be good here. We're going to come to lying down here on our side. So just making sure that the neck doesn't feel overly strained. We want to try and keep sort of length here in the neck. Knees are stacked, softness here in the shoulders. So feeling really supported in this position. And we're going to take the top arm gently up, and maybe you take it over the head as well. Slowly back up, and then maybe a little behind you. So these movements can be really small, they can be exaggerated, you can reach all the way over and up, but just beginning to find the rhythm of the movement. So as we come up, we take a pause, we bring the hand up and over, we slowly come back, and then we come behind. So very gently waking up the shoulder, bringing some mobility to the shoulder. And we can start to integrate the breath. So breathing in to raise the arm. Breathing out, take the hand overhead. Breathing in to raise the arm again. And breathing out to take the hand behind you a little, maybe further. And bringing the hand back to our starting position. We'll take that 2 more times. So breathing in to slowly bring the hand up towards the sky, breathing out to bring the fingers towards the floor overhead, breathing in to bring the hand back to center, breathing out to take the hand behind you, and breathing in to bring the hand all the way back to center and back to our starting position. Breathing in to raise the arm, and breathing out to take the hand over the head. Breathing in to bring the hand to center, Breathing out, take the hand behind you. And breathing in to bring the hands back together. And we're going to change sides. You may just want to roll over at this point. Making sure the head is supported again. And being mindful that each shoulder feels different. We have our habitual side, so one will naturally feel a little bit tighter. So we'll begin to make the movement, just see how the shoulder feels. So we're taking the top hand up, over the head, back to centre, and slowly behind us. And then bringing the hand all the way back down towards the floor in front of us. So slowly bringing this movement to the body, being mindful not to strain. And you may find you're able to go a little further each time, finding a little bit more space, even in the pectoral muscles at the top here, as well as the shoulder joint. And we can begin to integrate the breath, so we're breathing in to bring the hand up. Breathing out to take the hand over. Breathing in to bring the hand back to center. Breathing out to take the hand behind you. And breathing in to bring the hand all the way back down to the floor in front of us. Breathing in to always come up. Breathing out on a downward movement. Breathing in to come up to center. And breathing out to take the hand behind you. Breathing in to come back to center. Last one on this side. Breathing in to bring the hand up. Breathing out, take the hand over. Breathing in to bring the hand back to center. Breathing out, take the hand behind you. And breathing in to bring the hands back together. Taking a moment, let the body settle. And we'll slowly make our way into a box position on hands and knees. So if the wrists are feeling a little bit tight today, knowing that you can have a little bit of support under the fingers just to take the pressure off the wrists, there's always the option to come into a soft fist as well. If you are flat on the hands, thinking about spreading the hands, finding space between the fingers, thinking about a sense of balance across each hand, but then both hands as well. Softening the shoulders and having a micro bend in the elbows. Knees are roughly under hips-ish. And we'll come into cat-cow, beginning with cow. So dropping the belly, taking the gaze forwards, shoulders moving away from the ears. And breathing out to curl the spine round. And take the gaze towards the knees or the navel, depending how the body's feeling. So this can be a really small movement as you roll through into cow, dropping the belly. And rolling up into cat. Each time maybe getting a little larger. And perhaps you start to integrate the breath. So breathing in to take the gaze forwards, dropping the belly, sitting bones reaching up towards the sky. Breathing out to curl the tailbone, spine moving upwards, chin towards the chest. Always breathing in to look forwards. And breathing out to look towards the knees or look towards the navel. And if at any point you lose the rhythm of the breath or it just doesn't feel right, the main thing is to make sure you're breathing. So you haven't stopped, there's a flowing breath. Notice if the movement's becoming a little larger. And taking one more round here. Slowly releasing the hands, the wrists, maybe giving the wrists a roll, spreading the fingers. And we're coming back to our box position. So we're going to come into a little bit of a balance. Always an option to come down to elbows rather than at hands and wrists. And to begin with, we're going to extend through the right leg. So the right leg's reaching behind me here, toes on the floor, and I'm reaching through the heel. So we're creating a bit of space first of all through the calf muscle. Fingers are spread, softness in the elbows, softness in the shoulders. And then we're going to think about the core here. So in yoga we call it Mula Bandha. It's one of the locks. So there's a sense of the navel coming towards the spine, drawing the navel back towards the spine, pelvic floor lift, but also a sense that the hip bones, which you may be able to feel, hip bones are drawing together as well. Those are the transverse abdominals. So just thinking about the core area, drawing it in and up a little. And then we're lifting the right leg off the floor. It might just be a centimetre, it might be a little bit more. Only coming as high as you can still keep the hips level. So the right hip hasn't raised. We're keeping the hips level. If you feel stable here, maybe you lift the left arm and reach away with the left arm. Right foot is flexed. Exhaling, bringing the hand back down and the right knee. We're going to drop down to the right elbow, hand extending from the right elbow, so the right forearm is down. And then we're slowly turning towards the left hand side, extending the left leg, resting on a toe or the side of the foot, and coming into a side plank shape. So I'm on my right knee, very much supported by the forearm of my right hand. Maybe here you feel you can go a little bit further. Maybe you raise the arm, challenge the balance, still thinking about the core engaging. Maybe you lift the left leg. Again, it could be just a little, maybe it's just the toe on the floor. So find a sense of balance here. And I say not just by lifting the leg and quite literally balance, but a balance for your mind and your body on the mat today. It might be you need a little support and the toe down is your balance today. Softness in the jaw, softness in the face. And very slowly lowering the leg if it was raised, lowering the left arm if it was raised, and coming back to our box position. You may want to take a moment to release wrists or shoulders, and we're going to take that on the other side. So back into our box position, setting up the hands, softening the elbows, and this time we're reaching through the left heel. So the left toe is coming towards the floor, heels reaching away. To begin with, just to wake up back of the left leg. And then thinking once again about supporting the lower back, the lumbar spine, by engaging the core here. So belly button towards the spine, pelvic floor, gentle lift there, and transverse abdominal. So almost like we're trying to encourage the hip bones together. From there, lifting the left leg, maybe just little, maybe just a lot, depending on how you feel on this side. Trying to keep the left hip level with the right. And this might be where you stop, you stay, this is enough for you today. Or perhaps you reach through the right hand. Gaze is towards the floor, so the neck is in line with the spine. And very slowly bringing the left knee and the left hand back down towards the mat. And we'll come into our side plank on the left hand side. So this time the left forearm, elbow is going to be resting down on the floor. Taking time to turn towards the right, and the right foot is coming towards the floor, coming to some point in the floor so you can find some balance. Right hand can come to the hip. Maybe it reaches up. And once you're there, maybe you lift the right leg off the floor. Again, think about a sense of balance in the mind and the body. So there's an option to have the toe on the floor to support you. Can you soften the neck, soften the shoulders away from the ears? Can you still breathe? Are you still smiling? Slowly coming back to center, so placing the right hand back down, dropping the right knee, and we'll come into a resting child's pose. So that may be extended, it may be tucked all the way in with the hands under the forehead. So raising a leg and maybe an arm at the same time, engaging the lower back, so just curling the spine round. Bringing back a sense of balance. On the next inhalation, coming up to sitting, we're going to slowly make our way into a first downward dog. We haven't spent a lot of time waking up the back of the legs, so being really gentle and maybe coming into sort of pedaling motion to begin with. So as we set up the hands, we want the hands to be about shoulder width apart and the fingers to be really spread. And I like to talk about a spiral through the arms. I've got a slightly ugly analogy of a dishcloth, so it's almost like you're wringing a dishcloth. So as the hand is placed down on the mat on the floor, there's an internal rotation, because we want the weight of the hand to be across all the fingers, across the hand palm. The inner elbow comes to point inwards, but this shoulder has to move back and down away from the ears. So it's like the wrist is moving inwards, the shoulder's moving outwards, hence that spiraling motion. If you are very flexible, hypermobile, you can take the thumbs in a little, and that's just going to support the rest of your body. So once you've found your position, thinking about the internal rotation of the wrist, so all that means is you're thinking about bringing some weight onto the thumb so it's even across each finger and thumb. Inner elbows pointing in towards each other, so they're facing each other. And then once you've got that, shoulders move away from the ears. And this is going to really help, this spiraling motion helps stabilize our shoulder joints. From here, we're tucking the toes, coming into our downward facing dog. Maybe keeping a bend in the knees to begin with, bringing the belly towards the thighs, and then bringing some movement to the back of the legs. So really being careful in our setup, because we can injure ourselves in yoga. It's thought of as a very gentle practice, but if we don't have a safe setup in something like downward dog, it can really create sore shoulders, sore joints. Making sure the head and neck are relaxed, maybe you tuck the chin a little. And then slowly coming back down towards our knees. We've ended up in our box position again. And the right foot, shall I say, is coming forward. So we're going to come into a lunge on this side. I'm just going to grab a block so I can demonstrate an option here. So once you've found that position in a lunge, we've got the right knee directly above the right ankle. And the left hand is either going to come flat onto the floor, parallel with the right. You can maybe make a soft fist. Or if that feels too strong, this is where you can raise the floor with a block or a book, and that can feel really nice. It gives us a little bit more of a lift. Turning towards the right hand side, twisting, right hand comes behind the back to begin with, so we can encourage the right shoulder back, making sure the right knee hasn't fallen in or out, and then breathing in, maybe you raise the right arm, palm facing away from you. So there's quite a lot going on here. We're working with the hips and a twist in the spine. Making sure you're breathing, making sure this space here in the upper chest feels open, feels long. And exhaling to come all the way round back to center. From here we're going to stretch back into downward facing dog. So take your time to set your hands up. And once you feel you've got the internal rotation of the wrists, inner elbows, softening away with the shoulders, tucking the toes, coming up. Sitting bones are our highest point. And once again, maybe you bring some movement to the legs. One more breath here. And slowly coming down onto the knees. And this is where we're going to step our left foot forward. So we're coming to the twist on the other side. Finding your positioning, left knee directly above left ankle, and then placing the right hand down, however feels comfortable, because each wrist is going to feel different. I'm going to bring the floor to me a little today. Softening the shoulder, I want the shoulder to move away from the ear, the inner elbow is facing the knee. And then I'm turning towards the left hand side, encouraging space for the neck, space in the chest. And the left hand's coming behind the back, so we can bring the left shoulder back a little more. If you feel you're able to or you want to, you're raising the left arm up towards the sky, palm facing away from you. So it's almost like we've got a line from the crown of the head to the base of the spine. One more breath here. And slowly coming back to center. If you're using a prop, placing it out of the way, and then stepping back into downward facing dog. So taking your time to find downward facing dog for one last time here. Maybe your body is ready to come into stillness, so maybe you can find stillness in the shape. Checking the alignment of the hands. Weight is even over the fingers and the thumb. The space around the neck as the shoulders move away from the ears. Sitting bone reaching up towards the sky. Tucking the chin. And then very slowly, we're going to come into a forward fold. So that may mean bending the knees and either walking the hands to the feet or the feet to the hands. So taking your time to find a forward fold, feet are hip distance apart. Toes pointing forwards, parallel feet. Softening the head, softening the shoulders. Maybe the fingertips reach the mat, maybe you take hold of opposite elbows. Sitting bones reaching up towards the sky.
Always having a softness in the knees, but bending as much as we need to make sure we have a sense of balance in the body. There's no strain. And we're bending into the knees a little bit more. We're taking an inhalation, and as we inhale, we're reaching up towards the sky and exhaling to bring the hands back down to the sides of the body. We're going to come into a little bit of a lateral stretch here, a side stretch. So having the feet hip distance or even a little bit wider, you may find wider stance feels more stable. Softness in the knees and a sense of grounding and drawing down. So maybe you lift the toes and then spread the toes and then place them down. So you feel like you have a stable base. Softening the shoulders. And we're going to slowly lean towards the right hand side. So there's quite a strong softness, there's a kind of weightiness to the hands as well. There's not too much effort, we're just leaning slightly towards the right hand side. And then maybe you raise the arm as well. It's going to make it slightly stronger down the right hand side or left hand side if you're mirroring me of the body. And maybe you bring some movement. So coming back to the idea of spiraling the arms as we were in downward dog. You can spiral the hands, spiral the shoulders. And slowly work the arm back to center. And all the way down. And bringing the body as well back to center. So great to bring some movement to the shoulder joint. Gentle movement and rotation. And we'll move gently towards the other side. So sliding down the other side. Taking a moment here. See how it feels again. We're just trying to create some space here around the rib cage to support the breath. And perhaps you bring the hand up and over. And we'll bring again some spiraling movement. So it feels quite supportive, hopefully. Feels a little different, bringing movement, spiraling movement to the arm rather than making it very static, very stiff. As the arm comes back up to center, slowly bring the body back up to center as well. And bring the hand spiraling back down to the body. So we're creating spirals from the shoulder all the way through to the wrist. Always supporting our joints. And softening here as well. We're going to come into a little balance. It's going to be quite strong. I'm going to very briefly demonstrate so you can see what it looks like, and then you can decide if you want to come to a wall or if you would like to have a chair or a table in front of you to take hold of. So we'll take a couple of half sun salutations. We're going to come to here, and then we're going to lift one leg off. So it might be that you want something a little bit higher to hold on to. It might be that you can bring the hands to heart center and find some balance there. So just making sure you shift to or bring a prop to you that you know you need to support you. And finding your feet hip distance or maybe together, just depending on how you like to come into your Tadasana, into your mountain pose. Fingertips are reaching down towards the floor. There's a softness through the body, and yet the muscles are engaged. We're thinking about lifting the toes, spreading the toes. There's grounding through the soles of the feet and a lift through the spine. Breathing in, we're reaching up. Maybe the gaze follows. Breathing out, folding forwards into Uttanasana, leading with the heart, folding from the hips. Back into a forward fold. Here, we're going to breathe in and bring the hands quite high up, almost to the knees, a bit further if you'd like. Shoulders away from ears, and we're going to take a full breath here. So we've got space to expand the rib cage in all directions. And breathing out to fold forwards. This is where we're going to come into a standing balance. So the right foot is staying grounded. We're lifting the left foot, and the left knee is coming to behind the right knee.
So you can work out whether the hands, the fingertips are able to stay on the mat. There's quite a strong bend in the right knee, or maybe they come a little higher or onto a wall to support you. Shoulders softening away from the ears, chin tucks towards the chest. So grounding through the right, really thinking about strength in the right side of the leg. We're building bone density here, strengthening the bones. And if you feel you want more of a challenge, you can bring the hands together, Anjali Mudra at heart center. Making sure the drishti, the gaze, is on stillness, on a spot on the mat. Very slowly releasing the hands if they were raised, and then we're releasing the left leg down behind us. Toes are pointing to about 10 o'clock on a clock. The right toes are pointing to 12 o'clock on that clock. Right knee over right ankle, and we're slowly coming up. We're going to come into a warrior one. Softening the shoulders, encouraging the hips to be level. So maybe the feet are more hip distance apart rather than in line. A shorter stance is going to help us balance. Breathing in, raising the arms, softening the shoulders. Any tightness in the shoulders, allow the hands to rest on the hips. On the next exhalation, coming into cactus arms. So we bend at the elbows, a bit like a cactus shape, bringing some more space to the chest, to the upper body. And on the next exhalation, we're folding forwards, and we're going to encourage the left foot to come parallel with the right. So we're back into a forward fold. From here, hands come to shins, flat back, shoulders away from ears. Deep breath into full rib cage. And then we're folding forwards. Back into Uttanasana. We're going to take that balance on the other side. So bending into the knees, making sure the feet are grounded. And you have hold your toes, so the fingertips are in contact with something to support you to begin with. We're going to be standing on the left foot, so the right foot raises. The right knee comes to rest in the crease of the knee, the back of the knee of the left leg. Finding your balance here. Tucking the chin wherever you need to. Bring space to the back of the body, back of the neck. Once you have balance, maybe this is where you stay, or you bring the hands together at heart center, softening the shoulders away from the ears, softening the face, the jaw. Noticing if one leg is stronger than the other. It's likely that one ankle is stronger than the other. If you raise the hands, releasing the hands. And we're stepping the right foot back to come into warrior on the other side. So right toes pointing to about 2 o'clock on the face of a clock, left toes pointing to 12. Taking your time to come up. The left knee is above the left ankle, really safe alignment for the left knee in the joint there. Hands on hips. If the feet are more hip distance apart, it's a little bit easier to encourage the right hip forwards, left hip back. Grounding through both feet, and then maybe you inhale and raise the arms. Gaze can follow. Coming back to the idea of balance, sense of balance. So we're challenging our balance if we take the gaze upwards, but we also want to have a sense of balance between both feet. Exhaling, hands come to cactus. Opening the shoulders, opening the chest. Exhaling, releasing the hands and folding forwards, bending into the knees as much as you can. We're coming back into our forward fold. So right foot stepping forwards to become parallel with the left. Softening shoulders, bending the knees as much as you need to. On the next inhalation, hands come to shins, shoulders away from ears, a flat back. taking a full breath in and really expanding the rib cage in all directions. Exhaling to fold forwards and inhaling to come up. So bending into the knees so we can really power through the feet, reaching up towards the sky. And breathing out to bring the hands back down to the sides of the body. We're slowly going to make our way back down towards the mat. We're going to come into a seated forward fold. I like to have a little bit of height under my glutes, and that's mainly so I can bring some space here to the lower back. So if the lower back feels like it's going to collapse without any height, feels a little bit sort of sunken, have a book, a block, a folded blanket or towel underneath the glutes, and you just are able to lift a little bit more. So with the fingertips either side of the hips, or maybe even a little bit further back to bring some space to the upper chest, we have a sort of L shape happening here. The feet, Dandasana feet, staff pose, this is, the feet are working, they're active, so the toes are pointing up towards the sky. And then from here we're going to fold forwards. So to begin with, we'll take a really gentle fold forward. So we're going to bend the knees and we're going to lead with the heart. So we're trying to aim the heart towards the toes as we fold forward, so we fold from the hips. Hands can come either side of you on the mat, or maybe they even hug the knees. Allow the gaze towards the knees, softening the shoulders. So Paschimottanasana, we're looking for space, particularly in the lower back, but we have length in the spine. It's nice to practice this with bent knees, sometimes even with lots of cushions under the knees. More restorative and restful shape. And on the next inhalation, very slowly coming back up to center. We're going to release the legs down, so the feet are going to stay active, toes up towards the sky, and we're going to take that again with straighter legs. So if you know you're hypermobile and the backs of your knees are almost going into the floor, always having a micro bend here in the knees, just a little tiny bend there. Lifting through the spine, we'll breathe in and we'll reach up. Soften the shoulders away from the ears, and as you breathe out, heart moving towards the toes. So we're finding that length in the lumbar spine again. Hands come towards the floor. So it's not about how far we come to where we reach. It's about creating length in the back of the body, softening the shoulders away from the ears. The gaze can be towards the toes. When we tuck the chin a little, look towards the shins, the knees. And maybe you begin to creep the hands forwards if you know you have the flexibility. You can take hold of ankles or feet, but it's a touch, it's a light touch rather than a sort of strong grip. We're trying to create softness in the body rather than tension. And on the next inhalation, sliding the hands back towards the body. And we're slowly going to make our way down to release the lower back a little more and into relaxation. So just making sure you've got warm layers on, any layers you feel you need. And then coming to lie on your back and gently drawing the knees in, Apanasana. In and out. We can draw them in and let them go, just massaging the lower back. And you may want to take some circles with the knees as well. And we'll place the feet on the floor almost as wide as the mat. Hands can come either side, and we're gently dropping the knees to one side and then to the other. So just beginning to release the back of the body a little. Lots of back bends as we started in Makrasana in Crocodile today.
and came into warrior. Slowly coming back to center and finding your way into relaxation. So maybe that is Shavasana, maybe that's traditional Shavasana with the palms facing up towards the sky. It can feel lovely to have some cushions, a rolled up blanket just under the knees. That can feel really lovely and supportive. Or maybe you even come to legs up the wall or on a chair. So coming to the side of a wall, swinging the legs as best you can up a wall and having that support there, and the palms can face up towards the sky. So a couple of options, but making sure you feel warm and comfortable wherever you come to, most importantly. Taking your time to make any adjustments you need to, so you know you can find stillness for the next few minutes. Connecting with the breath. So watching your inhalation and your exhalation. By noticing the breath, helping the mind to come into stillness, and just allowing the breath to flow in and out for relaxation. So there's no control, no pranayama breathing exercises. It's just flowing in and out as comes naturally to you. And with a sense of the flow, a sense of the breath flowing to each and every part of your body, each cell, nurturing with oxygen, nourishing with oxygen, but also bringing a sense of softness and light to allow your body to rest. So ensuring the softening around the toes, the soles of the feet and the ankles, the calves, the shins, the knees, the thighs, the hips, the pelvis, the glutes, maybe noticing the rise and fall of the belly, softening around the rib cage, the collarbones, the shoulder blades, the shoulders, the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, the palms, the fingers, your neck, your jaw, allowing your tongue to rest in the lower part of the mouth, softening across the face, the eyes, the ears, the forehead, all the way to the crown of the head. A softening, a sense of lightness throughout your body, supporting you to rest.
Bringing your awareness back into the space you're in, into the room where you are. And beginning to take some smaller, gentler movements. Maybe waking up the wrists and the ankles first. Maybe gently moving the head and the neck. Making movements that feel supportive, maybe movements your body's asking for. And slowly finding your way onto your preferred side, the right or the left, whichever side you're most drawn to today. Gently curled up on one side. And taking a moment there, resting on one side. Feeling grounded, feeling settled, feeling rested. And slowly, almost spiraling up, using the hands to help you, support you come to a seated position. Using any support you feel you would like to find a comfortable seated position. Softening the shoulders, finding length in the spine. And taking a moment of stillness here. Maybe bringing the hands together at heart center, joining both halves of the body together. A sense of balance through the palms. Connection through the palms. And taking this moment to thank yourself for practicing yoga this morning and acknowledging the space you've created in your mind, in your body, and for your breath. I'm going to take my hands to my forehead to remind us to have kind thoughts, to my lips for kind words, and to my heart center for kind actions. Om Shanti.